Today is yoga for strength. We are going to start down on our stomach, so either child's pose or crocodile pose. So crocodile pose, one hand on top of the other, forehead down. So starting on our stomach, starting to land on the ground. Today is a strength class, so we're going to really focus on isolating and strengthening muscles. So focusing on turning on muscles and getting that mind-body connection while getting to know the muscles, getting to know the holding patterns so that you can know what it feels like to have a tense and strong and active muscle so that you know how to find the opposite, release of the muscle. So beginning down on our stomachs, starting to really surrender into the ground. Starting to land right on the mat, letting go of anything that came before this moment and anything that is yet to come. Give a squeeze of the legs and the arms and the back muscles and start to feel what it feels like to be really tense, maybe even squeeze up the face. And then take a deep breath in and see if you can suddenly release everything as you exhale. Sighing out as if letting everything drop down into the mat. And then if you're not already in crocodile, make your way to crocodile. We're going to start to move and breathe from here. So we're going to lift our shoulders with the inhale and exhale, lower. So thinking about lifting your shoulders, not the head. Keeping your head in line with your shoulders, not yanking it backwards. And trying to find all the muscles at the back, really starting to connect low back, mid back, upper back, glutes. And then start to engage the legs and lift the toes. And maybe even lifting the hands and pulling the elbows back, really activating the shoulders. And then find that place that you can lift and hover and hold with ease. So the teachings talk about the perfect yoga pose being the place where you can find that meeting place between steadiness and ease. So find your breath, hold some strength, connect with all the muscles of the back. And then lower back down to crocodile pose and shimmy the hips. And see if you can soften a little more into the mat. And then we'll come on up to Sphinx pose, forearms down ahead of the shoulders, engaging the arms. So feel like you're pulling your hands apart without letting your arms move. So engage the shoulders. Take your chin down to your chest first, and then feel like you're pulling your chest through your shoulders, and then lift the head. So not pulling the head back, but keeping it in line and lifting from the chest, opening up. Maybe pressing the tops of the feet down into the mat. And from here, we're going to do a cleansing breath. So we're going to do lion's breath, inhaling deeply, exhaling deeply, aha sound, and we're going to stick out our tongue when we do it. So we're really thinking about cleansing our throat here. We're going to do that 3 times and then return to crocodile pose. So take a deep breath in to prepare and out with the tongue out. And then return to crocodile pose. Notice any sensations that come up in the head, in the throat. And then this time placing the arms wide from the shoulders, placing the hands down onto the ground. We're going to think about just releasing holding patterns through the shoulders. So not too much muscular tension. You're going to turn and look towards your right foot and let left shoulder drop to midline. And then inhale center and turn and look to the other side, letting opposite shoulder come forward to center. So you get the hang of the movement. Start to play with your own movements of your shoulders. Maybe some holding patterns through the upper back. Let the head flow where is comfortable. Watch for tension in the neck. Thinking of releasing, undoing. And then bring it back to center. Take the hands really right. Place the hands down. Tuck the toes, and we're going to work the chest here. So a little tuck of the pelvis just to give you some strength down in lower stomach area. And we're going to pull up. Lift like a low push-up space. Hold, and then lower. Take a break. Lift up, hold, lift the chest. Strong, strong, strong through the chest. Watch for tension in the neck. And then lower. One more time, maybe this time a little bit higher with the chest. Really, really, really strong shoulders. And then send your hips all the way back, child's pose. Take a little reset. And then come on up to a tabletop, and we're going to move and breathe. Inhaling tabletop, exhaling towards child. Maybe coming all the way to a little half push-up with your arms. Or maybe just moving with your breath. Starting to connect with what is present in your arms and your shoulders. And then come on up to a tabletop position. Turn the left fingertips towards the knees. Place the left hand where you can place the hand down and begin to take some weight. So closer to the knee is going to be a little easier. Further away is going to be a little more taxing on the wrist. Take a little weight onto the wrist. You may need to bend the elbow and bring your weight over this left wrist. Take a little movement, strengthening the wrist in a different shape. And then switch sides, right side, and play with where you place your hand. Maybe this hand needs to be closer to the knee or further away. We're not even on both sides, so play. Get to know your own holding patterns. And then bring the fingertips back to neutral. Tuck the toes and coming up to down dog. Warm up your down dog shape, whatever way feels right today. Swaying the hips, bending the knees. And then find the stillness of down dog. Getting really strong in the shoulders. So rather than letting the weight dump all the way into the wrists, pull up from the shoulders with strong shoulders and chest. And bend the knees deeply. Hold here nice and strong. So you want to be strong in the shoulders. We're going to slowly pedal out the feet, lowering one heel at a time, nice and slow towards the ground. Trying not to move too much through the hips, but mostly through the back of the legs. Let the tension out of the neck. And then bend both knees and take a little tiny step forward with the right foot. Maybe land it down on the ground a little bit more. Send the right foot back and take a little tiny step back forward with the left foot. Land it on the ground. Still trying to lift up out of the ground with the chest and shoulders. And then return the left foot. Bend both knees. Look towards the hands and either float or step forward. Land with your feet underneath your hips. Let your torso find your thighs and take the tension out of the head. Long, slow breath with your world upside down. Take a deep inhale as you rise, arms up overhead. Exhale, bring your prayer to your heart. 2 more times. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Inhale up. And exhale, prayer to heart. Hold your prayer at heart. Feel your toes, your feet on the ground. Soften the shoulders. Set your base. We're going to start to make our moving and breathing here a little bit bigger. So inhale, lift arms overhead and lift the heels. Exhale, lower the heels, sink the hips to baby chair. Starting to move at your own breath pace. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, sinking the hips. As you lift your heels, try to keep a tiny bend in the knees and keep the strength in the legs so that you're not wobbling on the heels. Start to really slow the movement and find all the muscles of the legs. And then sink down to a baby chair and hold. Set your base. So legs, imagine you're pulling your legs apart and squeezing them in at the same time. Find as many leg muscles and hip and glutes as you can. Soften the lower back. Look for gripping in the toes. Soften the shoulders. And we're going to lift one heel at a time, nice and slow. So really slow, finding the muscles of the legs. And then if you're ready, starting to lift and peel both heels up at the same time. Lift and lower. And if you're ready to sink the hips a little lower as you lift the heels, go ahead and play, making sure you're not holding your breath. Squeezing the muscles of the legs all the way up and all the way down. And then inhale, arms overhead. And bring your prayer to heart. This time, inhale, arms up and swan dive it down. Touch the ground. And step back, high plank, and straight to down dog. Find your down dog. Maybe feeling a little different in the legs. Notice what is present. Inhale, lift the right leg high, lengthen from the toes to the fingertips. Take a really slow circle with the right leg, trying to feel every part of the circle. Right leg remains engaged. And then step through and lower the back foot, warrior two legs. Come on up, warrior two. So find your base in Warrior Two, really strong legs. We're going to work the muscles of the inner thigh on the right side. So really assess your base so that your legs are strong and you're not just sinking into the joints. We're going to move the knee in towards center and out. So it's a small, tiny movement, and you're trying to find the muscles of the inner thigh to make the movement of your leg. So little tiny movement, cross to center and back. Watch for gripping of the toes. Find the inner thigh. And then pull the knee out towards the center of the foot. And notice if your Warrior Two is a little more open. Flip the palms. We're going to inhale, lengthen the arms up overhead, lengthen the front leg. And exhale, lower into Warrior Two. Engaging both legs. Watch for gripping of the toes and soften the face. Hold a Warrior Two. Then we're going to peel up the heel on the front foot. You may need to pop that back foot in a little to help your balance. We're going to slowly peel the heel up and lower. As you lower, imagine pulling from the calf muscle, not moving from the heel. Find your calf muscle. If arms are tired, they can come to your hips. Really think about keeping both legs nice and strong and not sinking into the hip joint. We're moving through the leg and the muscles of the leg. Slowly lower the heel. Pivot on the back foot. Frame out the front. Right foot meets left. High plank. You can lower the knees or hold a high plank. Bending the knees a little bit so that you can really engage the chest and the stomach. We're going to pull from here. So knees can be lowered. We're going to pull. Bring your weight onto your right hand. Pull left arm up, bent elbow. Place it down. Left arm weight, right arm pulls. So nice and slow and engaged. Imagine you're really yanking something hard like a band. Resist the movement. Working the shoulders. Maybe adjusting your hands to a little bit wider, changing the shape as you go. And then make your way to a child's pose and take a reset. Up to your knees, so seated position on your knees. If you need something underneath your knees, find a blanket. Toes can be tucked or untucked for this. Really going to focus on fronts of our legs, hip flexors. Bring the arms out, shoulder height, palms up. Start to engage and push the hips forward, really engaging from the front. Glutes are not doing all the work, so really push the hips forward and slowly lower the shoulders backwards. Find that point where you're engaging the legs. Engage and hold, breathe. And then inhale, come forward to neutral. Exhale, slowly lower the shoulders back. Really working hip flexors. Maybe starting to come a little bit further back, squeezing, 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 holding strong in the front. And then bring it back to neutral. Bring your arms down, find a tabletop. Tuck the toes, lift and hover the knees, and give the legs a little shake. A little shake, loosen and soften. And then find your way to down dog. Take a moment to notice left and right sides. We worked right side already, not left. And then slowly inhale, lift left leg high. Pull from the toes to the fingertips. And then really slow circle with the left leg with all of the muscles of the left leg engaged. Reach long with the left leg, step through, lower the back foot, and come up, warrior two on the other side. Find your base, really strong. So play with where you position your feet. Really get to know where you are strong in the legs, not hanging out in the joints. Lift and hold. And then we're going to drag that left knee in towards center and then back. And we're really moving with the inner thigh here. Small movement. You may need to lift your hips a little more to be able to find the movement with the thigh. Make sure you're not yanking into the knee. You're really trying to find the muscle that makes this movement happen. And then find your warrior two. Flip the palms. Inhale as we lift arms overhead, lengthen front leg. Exhale as we lower warrior two. Find your warrior two. Get sturdy. Maybe take the hands out if the shoulders or arms are tired. We're going to peel the front heel up and lower. So peeling from the calf muscle. And then lower the front heel, warrior two. Bring your hands to your hips, switch your feet. So we're going to go to warrior two on the other side. Slow, find your base. So if this moving, lifting the heel up is super where you need to be, maybe this is where you're already finding the challenge, return to lifting the heel. Or if you want to really pump it up and find some more muscle action, make sure you're strong in both legs. And we're going to try and lift the front leg, so it's going to take lots of strength. Push and lift. Push and lift. Arms out to balance. Push and lift. Push from the ball of the foot. Strong legs, land light. So strong legs all the way through. And then land, warrior two. Find your base. If you have blocks, place your block about a foot away from your front foot, tall side up. We're going to go to half moon pose from here. So you're going to look at your block. You're going to place your right hand down on the block, so go slow. Bring the weight onto the right leg. Place the right hand down and then pull left leg up. Whew. Find your breath. Find your balance. Left arm can reach and pull towards the ceiling, or it can remain on your hip. Try to find all the muscles of the left leg. And if you want to find the challenge, you're going to start to come up off the fingertips. Maybe even balance, lifting the right hand. Now challenge, bending the right knee slowly as you can, lower back to a warrior two. Bring your hands to your hips, turn your feet parallel, and give your legs a shake. Really shake left and right, let the legs go. Adjust your block to the other side. Let the legs wiggle and wobble. That somatic reset is really going to help the muscles, so wobble them as much as you can. And then turn the left toes back to a warrior two. Set up. So again, either lifting the heel nice and slow, or if you'd like the challenge, you're going to try and press into the ball of the left foot. I think I'm going to, oh no, I was afraid I was going to kick my foot. Push and lift. So push from the ball of the foot. Nice and strong. Land light. And land in your warrior two. Set up, nice strong legs. Pulling from the tailbone all the way up through the crown of the head. Find your left hand on your block. And slowly peel the right leg up, half moon. Find your balance. Find your breath. Maybe even beginning to peel the fingertips up of the left hand and balancing on one leg. Slowly bend the left leg, lower the right leg. Warrior two. Bring the feet back to parallel, hands to hips. Grab your block, and we're in a forward fold. So legs wider will work inner legs, legs closer will work backs of your legs. Make a choice for where you would prefer the stretch. Hold on to your block. And you can take this static, just a nice, slow, releasing hold. Or you can move the hips left and right. Or peel up one heel at a time, bend one knee. Have some explorations of the muscles of your legs and hips. Wherever you're at, find a static hold and find a press. So imagine you're pushing into the balls of your feet and trying to pull your feet apart without letting them move. So starting to activate the legs. And then feel as if somebody grabbed a string on your tailbone and just pulled it up. See if you can engage more muscles in your legs. Take some nice, long, slow breaths as you hold into a nice, active stretch. And then slowly bending into the knees. Inhale as you lift the chest up. Turn the right foot out. Frame out the front foot. Right foot meets left. And lower the knees. Straight to child's pose and take a reset. Come on up to a tabletop. Grab a block or two for keeping handy. Come on up to your knees and send the right leg back, foot down. So top of the foot down. Land the foot. So find that position where you're not sinking into this left hip. Pull up a little. Land the foot on the ground and then feel like you're pulling it forward. See if you can activate and stretch in the front of the right hip, front of the right foot, maybe in across the front of the shin. If this is not active enough for you and you cannot feel those muscles or stretch, you can hold onto the blocks and come up onto the left leg, leaving the right foot down on the ground. Feel like you're pulling it forward. Really active and strong. If you came up, lower the back knee, return the left knee down. And return the right knee to meet the left. Feel left and right sides. Take a little check in and then send the left leg back. Find the place where you can land and then feel like you're pulling forward. Find the muscles in front of the hip and in front of the leg. And again, you can step it through onto the right foot. So this is sinking down into this left right hip. Lift up, engage, and pull rather than crunching into the joint. Slowly lower if you lifted. Return the right knee, return the left. Turn your blocks so that they're lower side down, long side up. Bring the back of your elbow, not the joint, onto the blocks. And then sink your hips back. See if you can find the backs of the upper arms. And now we're going to work the back of the upper arms. So go on up. Swing around onto your hips and let the feet come out. Land the feet down on the ground. Hands come behind you. Fingertips can point in any way that is most comfortable for your wrists. So find a comfortable position for your wrists. So we're going to start smaller. We're going to find that position where we can find upper arms, backs of the upper arms. So long in the spine, trying not to roll around on the tailbone. And we're going to draw the elbows towards each other, make the arms strong, and then little tiny pulses. Watch for tension in the neck. Try changing where you're looking if your neck is getting tight. Maybe just to look to the ceiling a little more. And then bring the upper body up, take the weight off the hands and walk the fingertips away. Pull the chest forward, little stretch. And then if this was enough for you, you felt strong in this previous little bending into the elbows, stay here. Or if you'd like to pump it up, we're going to go into full reverse tabletop. Things to watch, not dropping your crown of your head down to the ground. Keep your neck so that it's in a neutral line with your spine. Lift the hips, bend the elbows, lower the hips. Lift the hips, bend the elbows, lower the hips. And if you're ready to pump up even more, you're going to lift the hips and then sink back and then lift the hips and then sink the hips back. So arms remain strong, lift, and then sitting straight. So if you have short arms like I have, it may be helpful to use your blocks. So standing, hands on the blocks, lift hips, sink hips through. So you're seated with long legs, engaged arms, And then wherever you're at, come on up to a seated position. And let's work our wrists. So first, flick like you're flicking glitter away from you. Loosen and soften up around the hands and wrists. Take your right hand out and stop the movement of the forearm with your left hand. So I'm not grabbing it, but just reminding yourself to hold it still. Left fingertips come to the ground and then take a really slow circle, trying to move from the wrist down and trying to find all of the muscles in the hand. You might notice some clicking and crunching. Nice and slow, particularly paying attention to where you might have some jittering or some tension. And then go in the other direction. Notice if you stop looking at your hand, the forearm wants to do all the work. So really try and work the muscles of the hand. And if you find a place that's particularly clicking, feel free to pull and adjust. Take little pulses. And then make a slow, slow, slow fist. And then open, slow, slow, slow. And then take your hands onto your lap and notice left and right wrists. And then immobilize right, pull the fingertips down to the ground and take really slow circles. So you're really trying to find muscles in the hand and fingers. Notice if one side seems to be stiffer than the other. And reverse your circle. Maybe taking some pulses in whichever way felt a little more weak. Typically people have one side, so pulling out towards the outside or pulling in towards midline. One way or the other is typically a little weaker, so notice and maybe take some pulses. And then slow, slow, slow fist. And slow open. And then bring both hands back down to the lap and notice left and right sides. I'm going to work the shoulders a little, so press the hands away from you. Not active yet, so hands are just pushing like they're pushing a wall away. And then we're going to push from the shoulder, so not from the arms, push from the shoulder, and then draw the arm back into the shoulder. So push and pull, really thinking about the small movement within the shoulder. Push away, pull back. So arms can even be loose. We're really thinking about right here in the shoulder. Notice any holding patterns. Notice any tension in the low back and the neck. Lower the left arm. Keep the right arm up and take it a little bit across, almost to the left shoulder. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to push, and then we're going to pull down and back. Now you should find some muscles in underneath, closer to the armpit. So push and pull. Push and pull. Bring the right arm down and take a little wiggle of the arm. Make sure you loosen and soften any cramping. And then we're going to move around in the shoulder. So just leaving the left arm wherever it's comfortable. You can lock it behind your back. You can put it on your lap. We're going to move the right shoulder. So we're going to draw it all the way in and then all the way back. Then all the way up to the ear and then press it down. So think about all the directions your shoulder can move in and try and move only the right. So bringing the right shoulder in, all the way back to neutral, all the way up to the ear, and then press it down. Notice if there's any particular angle where it feels tight, just check in. and then onto the other side. So take the left hand out even with the shoulder, take it across the body a little, and we're going to push away and then pull down and back. So there's a whole movement of the shoulder blade. Trying to keep the right shoulder where it is, trying to not make, so whenever we do muscles that might be weak, bigger muscles like to come to the party. So check in on those back muscles. Make sure the lower back or the glute isn't trying to do all the work. Keep a soft stomach, soft legs. And then bring the left arm down. Find a place where you can kind of keep the right arm comfortable but still. We're going to pull the left shoulder in, all the way in, roll it in, all the way back. Back to neutral, all the way up and all the way down. And a couple more rounds. Draw in, draw back, draw up, and draw down. And then let both arms loosen and soften and wiggle. Really wiggle and loosen. Maybe you can get the wiggles right up into the neck. Just kind of really loosen and soften. And then bring the hands, palms up, see what's present. So check in, notice low back, notice neck, check in, find any muscles that appear to be still tense. Get a little longer through the crown of the head, chin neutral, and take the right ear all the way over to the right shoulder. Find the muscles of the left side of the neck. You can tuck the left arm behind you. You can place the left hand down on the ground just to connect with these muscles a little more. Imagine you could send fresh breath to any tension gripping across the left side of your neck and into shoulder. Sweeping in fresh breath and sweeping away anything holding, anything no longer needed with the exhale. Slowly bring the head back to neutral, return left hand to the lap. Get really long in the through the crown of the head and take left ear over to left shoulder. And then you can play with right hand. Really breathe into the side of your neck. Imagine you could send your breath intentionally to each muscle that's holding. Like a massage with your own breath. Sending fresh energy and sweeping away what's no longer needed. And slowly bring your head back to neutral and right hand to the lap. Notice your neck, your shoulders. Notice what is present. And then we're going to come on down to our backs. So landing on your back. Taking a second to kind of feel your hips, maybe rolling your hips a little, knees in towards chest. Land your feet on the ground, knees up. We're going to take a little reset for the hips and legs. So that somatic shake. So we're looking to shake the muscles loose and soft as much as possible, as if you're trying to shake up anything that's holding. Two ways you can do it for the legs and hips. So one will be easier. You can lift the hips as if you're sliding a piece of paper underneath. So just a teeny bit, and then let them drop suddenly, getting little wiggles, lifting and dropping. Or you can push the weight left and right through your feet and let your hips wobble side to side and let the legs and muscles wobble side to side. So notice which one's easier for you. And take a shake. Trying to loosen and soften. Let go of any gripping in the legs, any gripping in the toes, any gripping around the hips and the glutes. take a deep breath in, and with the exhale, let the body suddenly land. And notice where it lands. Notice left and right sides. And then slowly bring the knees together and in towards the chest, giving yourself a little hug. Wrap right knee over left and draw the feet towards opposite shoulders. So you're looking to breathe into right glute piriformis space. Again, sending that fresh, intentional breath all the way down to the muscle. Slowly unravel and switch left knee over right. Slowly unravel and bring both feet, soles of the feet to the ground, knees up. Find the skull on the ground with the chin to the ceiling. Take your fingertips. So first just make sure you've got no gripping in the low back and hips. You're nice and comfortable, low back, knees, legs. Take the fingertips and place them right at the base of the skull. So either side of the spine, not on the spine, right at the base of the skull. Fingertips down here. And let the skull really land on the fingertips. Maybe even lifting your head and placing a couple of fingers right in underneath the skull. Move the thumbs around. You might be able to find that spot where you can hold a little pressure with your thumbs. Check in behind the ears. Just move the thumbs around. See if you can find a place to hold the thumbs with a teeny bit of pressure. That feels nice, like you're releasing tension. And then take a little tiny movement with the head. So as if you're shaking your head no, but you're not moving it very much. Like a millimeter with your nose. Tiny little centimeter left and right. So moving your head over your fingertips. Little self-massage. Almost as if you're only moving the skin on your scalp more than your head around. And then slowly peel your fingertips out from underneath your head. Let the palms rest face up, so palms to the ceiling. And see if you can melt the shoulders a little more to the ground. And notice if there's a little less tension in around the base of the skull. And see if you can imagine sending fresh breath from the base of your skull all the way down the spine, checking for any holding patterns in the back. So checking upper back, across the shoulders, down the spine, into the low back. Really sending your breath all the way across the back. And then for a resting pose, if you can, stay on your back. You can use props in under your knees, or you can go to full corpse pose with the legs long. I'm going to talk you through squeezing and releasing. So wherever you are, you can place your blanket on. Start to surrender into the ground and notice what is present. We're going to land and find any muscles that are holding on. So first just see if you can find them. See if you can notice any muscles that seem to be gripping, any common holding patterns. Maybe one foot seems to be more center than the other. Maybe there's some gripping in the hands. Really, really check in on your own physical patterns. And then you're going to begin to start squeezing the muscles really, really tight as I instruct, and then letting them go. So we're going to find tightness in the hopes that when we let go, we find the opposite, the complete release of tension. So starting at the toes, curl the toes under really, really tight. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Take a deep breath in, and with the exhale, suddenly let the toes loosen and soften. And then squeeze all the muscles of the toes and the feet. Squeeze tight. Squeeze in all the muscles you can find in the feet. Take a deep breath in, and then suddenly let them go. Squeeze feet and legs and across the front of the hips. So really, really, really tight. Squeeze. Find as many muscles as you can in the legs and across the hips. Squeeze the glutes. Take a deep breath in and suddenly let go. Squeeze the feet, the legs, the glutes. Squeeze the stomach. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze tight. Squeeze the muscles of the chest. Squeeze tight. Take a deep breath in and then suddenly let go. Squeeze the feet, the legs, stomach, glutes, hips. Squeeze all the way across the chest. Make fists with your hands and squeeze the arms. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Maybe even notice any emotional sensation when you make fists. Really squeeze. Notice what happens. Take a deep breath in and then let everything go. And now we're going to squeeze everything we can possibly find, starting from the toes, work up the legs, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the stomach, squeeze across the hips, squeeze the arms, make fists, squeeze the face as tight as you can, scrunch in the eyes, squeeze in the cheeks, squeeze around the lips, find some muscles around the scalp. Squeeze everything as tight as you can. Take a check. See if there's anything else you can squeeze. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze as tight as you possibly can. Take a deep breath in. And with the exhale, really let everything go. Notice perhaps some tingling, some energy, some sensation in the body. So when we bring all that tension into our muscles and then release, we can let some energy flow and move. Start to release control of even the breath. Really checking in on the physical layer of the body. And then move on to the energetic layer of the body. Notice any flowing, any tingling. Maybe just notice the temperature of the air on your skin. And then come on in and check on the mental layer of the body. In the yogic teachings, they teach of the layers of the body. It's 5 kosha. And they're all layers. They're all part of us. No one part is more important than the other. And they all need to work in balance. So checking in on the mental layer and starting to think about that concept that the mental layer is not who we are. It is just a layer. Just a part. Notice what action the mental layer is doing. Notice how it's flowing. Notice that it's supposed to flow. And then notice that you can notice this layer, getting to understand that you are a little more than just your thoughts or just your physical body. And then begin to draw your attention a little bit further away from the mental layer in towards the intuition layer. So that layer that feels a little more deeply inside. It's that layer that feels like your truth. That little voice within, that when you listen to it, things just seem to run a little more smoothly. And then gently draw all the way inward towards the metaphysical heart center, spirit center, bliss center, your innermost layer. And whenever one layer draws your attention away from the metaphysical heart, the spirit, just gently work through the process again. Scan the physical. Scan the energetic. Scan the mental. Slowly feel like you could fall into the very center of the mind, closer to the intuition level, and then draw down to the center of the heart, the bliss. If you have more time to take in your resting pose, please feel free to switch us off and take the time that your body needs. If you need to finish up at 60 minutes, slowly, without thinking too much, send your body into whatever stretch it needs. So really try to connect with that intuition layer of your body and send your arms and fingers into whatever stretch it feels. Sometimes when we deeply rest, it is a beautiful moment for the body to just intuitively click things into place. And then slowly make your way into a fetal position. Whatever side is calling to you. So Yoga for Strength, we do focus on muscular strength, building physical strength, because it's one of the layers of our body that we can build strength in, and it's one of the layers of our body when we're not strong in, it can cause imbalances and distractions. You're taking a moment to really think about strength within. So finding that bliss layer. And being strong in that bliss layer means being open. So when we go through life, we build up little layers around our bliss layer, little walls, because we think that it protects us from the world outside when things have gone wrong. And they serve a purpose. These walls help us mend and help us get through. But they also hinder us from connecting within to our bliss. These walls can become so strong and so encumbersome that we're unable to connect within to our own light. So thinking about being strong, not thinking about things will never go wrong if we lead with our heart, but thinking about knowing to be strong enough that we have our own back, that we can pick ourselves up and we can get through even when things go wrong, that we can connect into this space, the bliss layer, and help guide us through even when things are not going well. maybe thinking about letting go, being strong within our heart, strong enough to let some of these walls melt onto the mat. And then coming on up to a seated position with our hands at prayer at heart space. Feeling our thumbs right in the center of our chest. Perhaps feeling a little lighter, perhaps feeling a little stronger. And then imagine sending out that sensation to somebody else who might need a little strength. Knowing that when we share our unconditional love, it becomes easier to give it to ourselves as well. May we all find moments to be both soft and strong. Thank you for joining me.